My name is Brent Miller. I'm a head basketball coach for White River Sports Mission Basketball Program. In that ministry, we service travel basketball players. We coach and train and develop them spiritually. I grew up in a Christian home. Grew up Catholic. Really not that personal of a relationship with Jesus Christ. I had my older son and met my wife, and that's really where the personal relationship started. Ever since then, my wife and I got baptized in 2002 at the same time, and really haven't looked back. When we first moved here, I found out that there's a church and a basketball program together. It seemed like a perfect match. To me, it makes sense because the basketball court, in my opinion, is the greatest place on earth, and it's heaven on earth. And to mix those together was great. So I signed my son up for it when he was in kindergarten and immediately volunteered. It was one way for a guy like me to get involved in a church, because nobody wants me singing. I can't play any instruments, but coaching basketball is something that I genuinely love and enjoy. Mission basketball is, the kids play at a high level in central Indiana. There's some higher expectations for the mission players and how they handle themselves on the court and how they approach the devotions and memory verses. And also, the teams they participate in a service project each year as a team. The mission teams also invite the opposing teams, players and coaches to meet at half court right before tip for a pregame prayer. And we usually have one of our mission players lead that prayer. The most memorable time was in January, where it was just a regular practice, and I was getting ready to do the regular devotion, and I decided to go off script a little bit and wait on this devotion I was supposed to do, because I wanted to ask them 2 questions. And it was a follow-up from a devotion from the previous week. I asked them first, what does it mean to be saved? And they had good answers. But the second question was a little bit confusing to them. I asked them, what do we need to do to be saved? And I got a lot of blank faces, some awkward looks, and they decided as a team that it was a trick question, that coach, we all know that we don't have to do anything. Jesus did the work. And I said, you're right, we can't save ourselves, but it's not a trick question. Let me paraphrase Romans 10:9 for you guys, and then you can rethink your answer. So I told them about Romans 10:9, which says that in general, if you believe in your heart and declare with your mouth that Jesus is God's Son and accept Him as your Lord and Savior, you will be saved. I told them that's what we call the confession of faith. So after sharing that, I asked the boys, how many here have given their confession of faith? And there was 5 or 6 players raised their hands, but there was 22, 23 kids in the group, and the majority of the hands are down, and the place is quiet. I mean, it is dead silence. So I asked them, is there any kids here that want to say the confession of faith? And I was shocked at the response. Those hands went up immediately. So I said to the kids, all right, let's do this. When you want me to make an appointment, we can have your parents come in and we can get Pastor Ross in and we can all give our confessions. And one kid called me out. He said, Coach, there's no better time than now. And another kid said the same thing. Yeah, Coach, we don't really need to wait. And they were right. So I listened to the wisdom of the 6th graders, and right there under the basket, one player after another player after another player gave their confession of faith. The next Monday, 2 more players made their confession of faith. And by the end of the season, everyone on the team had confessed Jesus as their Lord and Savior. Once the season ended, 6 of those players were baptized right here at White River. and they were baptized along with some siblings, several siblings, and even a player's mom. Being a mission team coach has really helped me grow spiritually, not only trying to hold these boys accountable to learning memory verses and being engaged in the devotions, but at the same time I'm preparing for these moments and holding myself accountable. It makes no sense for someone to be in a leadership role, expect others to do things that they're not willing to do themselves. I find myself growing closer to God during the season when I'm actively involved in these devotions. The mission program has really been a blessing to me as a coach. There is a Bible verse that I hold on to. It's Philippians 4:13, and it's, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I like it for two reasons, because it's very short and I can remember it, but it's also very powerful. It gives us all confidence that if we trust in God, we can do things that maybe we thought that we couldn't.